did you find out? Can you lay out for everybody what you just found out about Kawhi, Clippers, and Bomber et al., please?
Yeah, it's an unprecedented scandal when it comes to the cardinal sin of the NBA, and those are Adam Silver's words, the cardinal sin part, which is salary cap circumvention. The NBA, for the record, is investigating. The Clippers deny so much of what I'm about to tell you, so just keep that in mind as I legally and journalistically try to be as fair as possible to everybody involved. But what I found and what I reported is that there was a secret $28 million deal that Kawhi Leonard signed, an endorsement deal, which nobody heard about, which is, I think, relevant because it's an endorsement deal. Typically, with endorsements, you want people to know that the person is endorsing something. This is a deal that nobody knew about with a company called Aspiration, and Kawhi Leonard, for the record here, did absolutely nothing. And the reason that matters is because Aspiration happens to be a company that Steve Ballmer, the richest owner in all of sports, all of the world, when it comes to sports, the sixth or seventh richest person on the planet, he had put $50 million of his own personal money into this company. And this company also, you may vaguely recall, as one of the key sponsors, a founding sponsorship partner of the Intuit Dome and the Los Angeles Clippers. This company, Aspiration, was going to be the jersey patch. They were on the backs of the courtside seats. They had signage everywhere. This company could not be more enmeshed with the Clippers. What I'm saying, via 7 sources who used to work at Aspiration, the company, as well as over 3,000 pages of documents, is that this is a deal that was brokered to explicitly circumvent the salary cap for the Los Angeles Clippers and Steve Ballmer.
Now, is there anything that you found that has those words, though? Like this is specifically for that, or are you gleaning through all the information that you have unearthed or sought out?
Yeah, it's a great question.
That this is all happening. Where's the connective tissue to this was a circumvention of the salary cap and thus the cardinal sin that would leave the NBA in quite the predicament of what to do?
Yeah, it's a great question. And the NBA is, of course, looking into this now in their investigation, which they announced. So the context here, before I get to the specifics, because I think it's useful context, is that 2019, the NBA investigates this. The cardinal sin quote is from Adam Silver about how the Clippers got Kawhi Leonard in the first place. This was all teams, all sorts of teams, the Lakers, the Raptors, making complaints to the league. There was a big meeting about this in which the NBA looked into it. They found nothing, no punishment, but there was this recognition around the league that something to them seemed off. And so that's why Adam Silver warned everybody, don't do this cardinal sin. That's that quote. The specifics here, though, as a journalist, I start with the sources. So in terms of these sources, the key aspect of Aspiration, the company, is that this company has since collapsed in disgrace and bankruptcy. One of the co-founders, a guy named Joe Sandberg, who Steve Ballmer is on emails with, personally doing business development for Aspiration, the company, that guy has pled guilty now to 2 counts of wire fraud to the federal government. The DOJ is investigating. The SEC is investigating. None of this is what you asked. What you asked about is there a smoking gun in which Steve Ballmer says, do this so I can pay Kawhi Leonard? Of course, Steve Ballmer did not write that down on paper. But in terms of the story of Aspiration, the reason these 7 sources are meaningful, and I want to explain this as a journalist, is because the reason that Joe Sandberg has pled guilty now to 2 counts of wire fraud. The reason why the DOJ, the SEC, the CFTC, the FBI have been looking into this giant scandal is because internally there were employees who signed up to work at Aspiration, which was a climate change company, a good guy company. They were planting trees to zero carbon footprints. And those people started noticing things that were entirely wrong when it came to malfeasance and corruption inside the company. That's why Joe Sandberg just pled guilty to 2 counts of wire fraud. So the people I'm talking to are the people who identified this problem and, to me, could not be more credible about this issue. So when they say to me, we asked around and truly so many people inside the company knew, more than just the 7 is what I was told, but I only have the 7, so I only quote the 7. They say it was communicated to us. The reason why Kawhi Leonard did 0 things, the reason why nobody knew about the endorsement deal, despite all of this interconnectedness, the reason why he got $28 million, which is multiples bigger than a normal sponsorship deal from a guy in Steve Ballmer, from a company in Aspiration, which has just gotten $50 million from Steve Ballmer, was because explicitly we need to circumvent the salary cap for our most influential investor. And so there's lots more evidence that provides the context. But to me, Rich, there's an IQ test here. And the NBA, of course, is not a real justice system. It's an entity that has to make decisions about what kind of IQ test do we expect our fans, our owners, and all of our media to pass.
Pablo Torre here on the Rich Eisen Show. Just again, I'm playing the devil's advocate here.
Please.
Okay, so it just strikes me as, $28 million. That is a sizable amount of money, obviously. But why wouldn't they just pay him that money on a contract? Like, why create this sort of back channel? Was it cap related, apron related? Like, what? Like, have you done any dot connecting there? Because again, and again, you're putting it out there, man. That is for sure. And I imagine there'll be some Clipper legal pushback in your direction here.
Yeah.
That all of these dots that you have, and that you say that there are some people who told you, from the company that used to exist, that they're there on this, that connecting the dots to say this was a specific circumvention of the salary cap for $28 million. It's not like $200 million, right? Like that seems to be a number that you'd want to circumvent the cap for. But $28 million in cash sounds like chump change when you're talking about Supermax contracts, Pablo,
Oh, I think the NBA context is very important here, and you're raising good questions that I think a general audience would have interest in as well, and so thank you for asking them. I think the key distinction here is that when you talk to people around the league, the reason why I say this is the biggest scandal and unprecedented is because when you look at endorsement deals in general, right, that superstar players sign with NBA team sponsors even, right? This is, again, the company aspiration was supposed to be on the jersey patch, right? It's signatures everywhere. This is an arrangement that happens in other forms around the league. But in terms of the contracts that players market value typically sign, it's never as big as $28 million. And so that's actually off the graph when it comes to the standard market rate. And so then the question is, well, why did they want to pay it? Well, it's because Kawhi Leonard, according to my reporting, according to the investigation, by the way, that was raised in 2019, that got that Adam Silver quote in the first place, what I'm picking up the thread of is, in 2021, when it came to the extension, Kawhi Leonard wanted another max contract. Boardman gets paid, right? The guy wants to get paid. He's a capitalist, and God bless Kawhi Leonard for being economically minded, right? That's not illegal. What is illicit, though, by NBA rules, of course, is the question of, can you pay someone the max contract, and then on top of that, pay them through this side deal with the influence of the owner of the team? And so $28 million may seem like chump change in the world of Steve Ballmer in the abstract. In the NBA, this has landed like a comet, because this is, if my reporting is correct, which again, I stand by fully and completely, it is explosive. We just haven't seen this level of ambition for it before. And so the other key detail here, in terms of just like how much money is at stake, why are they doing this, what's floating around here? I think the other thing that people need to understand about aspiration is that Kawhi Leonard was not the only endorsement contract they signed. They had Robert Downey Jr., Leonardo DiCaprio, Drake, Orlando Bloom, Cindy Crawford's daughter, Doc Rivers, go down the list, a bunch of famous people. Kawhi Leonard's contract was for a sum that was more than 4 times every other one of those contracts I mentioned combined. And the key clause in the contract was it could be terminated if he no longer played for the Clippers. And also, contractually, he had no obligation to do anything if it did not conform with his beliefs, small b beliefs, which is a thing that lots of people who analyze contracts have pointed out. He basically had outs to do nothing. And in fact, the company itself, Aspiration, nor the Clippers, ever announced that he had signed anything as an endorsement deal. So the question I have at the end of this IQ test is, why would this be the case when Steve Ballmer is also investing $50 million into the company? These are the questions that the NBA has to investigate now.
Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.